So when we think about investments into digital technologies, there's a couple of things we need to think about. First of all, we've got to look for evidence that we're able to unlock the digital dividends of growth, productivity, and experience. And it doesn't matter how complex digital strategies are, that's broadly the three digital dividends that we can unlock from these digital technologies. But jointly with that, organizations look for evidence where the capex of these digital investments is probably lower than the OPEX of the human resources fulfilling the same function that they want to fulfill with those digital technologies. And that creates a bit of an emotional response, because when we start talking about the capex of the machine or the capex of the digital technology versus the OPEX of the human, it starts conversations around whether or not the technology is there to replace the human. Are we replacing the human? Are we augmenting the human? Are we reducing the importance of the human in the ecosystem? It's the main topic of conversation at the moment with most organizations. It's an emotional conversation, and rightfully so, because that's ultimately our jobs is how we define our relevance, it's how we sustain ourselves, and where we get our psychological pleasure from. The reality is that the debate around machines and humans has been an ongoing debate for many decades, in actual fact for over a century. The reality of the situation is that the laborers and workers have always fought the machines that they thought would take their jobs away. And every single time the machines have won, because the economics of the machine always wins. So we're sitting in that situation again, where there's a lot of anxiety around these digital technologies that may take jobs away. The reality is that this digital wave, this digital transformation that we're seeing across all economies around the world is going to happen to us. If we resist it, we face the risk of economic retardation. We're unable to unlock the value and the economic momentum that we could create from these digital technologies. If we embrace it in a structured and thoughtful way, we can unlock economic value and economic prosperity for the entire population. But we need to be properly organized to do that. The dialogue is that technology is going to take jobs away. We perhaps need to alter our thinking. It's not the technology that's going to eliminate jobs, it's the negative attributes of those jobs that's going to result in them being eliminated. We've tolerated those negative attributes because we've never had alternatives. And those negative attributes include things like low levels of efficiency and productivity, high levels of error, high levels of risk. And so we now have technologies that can address some of those factors. We were able to remove humans from high-risk environments. We are able to use technology to reduce the errors that humans make. So that what it suggests is that those jobs would have been eliminated over time anyway, like we've seen over the last couple of decades. It's just happening a lot quicker right now. As organizations, we need to study the attributes of the services and products and the jobs that we have and see which technologies we would embrace inside our organization in order to modernize the organization, to make it relevant into the future, and understand the impact that those technologies have on those jobs. By doing that, we'll have a very good view of the jobs that might be made redundant by certain technologies, and then we're in a position to define a very structured transition plan where we transition resources from jobs that aren't required in the future into jobs and skills that are required in a very structured way.